Hello class and welcome to this King's Quest V NES walkthrough right here on Video Games 101 by way of Let's Play with Brigands. I'm your instructor, Professor Brigands, and Konami meets Sierra, two developers which you never thought would share back-to-back screens in a video game. I have to say, as a child of the 90s, a gaming child of the 90s, my two arguably biggest loves were Nintendo and Sierra, but I ironically never played this version of the game, very well aware of the PC version of King's Quest V with the cheesy voice acting that I love very much. You can check out my playthrough of that on our parent channel, Let's Play with Brigands. But yes, this is the NES port of the adventure game for the PC. Didn't get a lot of these. We have a lot of interesting things to cover in this class on King's Quest V for the NES. Fluff has a lot of interesting facts about this game, kind of how it came to be, and just answering all those questions that I had, having never played this. In terms of difficulty, we always like to handicap these games at the top of these classes. I'm going to go ahead and, this is one of those games that's difficult to handicap simply because if you know what you're doing, if you have this class that you're watching right now, you'll have no problems at all. So with that in mind, and they've even made some changes to this version versus the PC version to make it kind of a bit easier on top of the difficulty that was already not that taxing to begin with, I'm going to go ahead, all this to say, and give King's Quest V for the NES a 2 out of 10. On the frustration scale, this equates to emitting a wussy swear, maybe a darn, maybe when Cedric's getting on your nerves, though I will say, in this version, without the voice acting that you get from the PC version, he's not as annoying, doesn't quite grate on the nerves as he does in the PC version, but we'll talk about all that, plenty of time. Let's run the intro, and we'll get into this King's Quest V NES walkthrough right here on Video Games 101. Alright, as we start a new game, we selected the Have Not Played Before option so we can see this little intro here. See a lovely view of Castle Daventry. A mysterious cloaked man beams in and is casting some sort of spell on our home. Hopefully just, it's the detail guy just giving it a little scrub up or something like that. Maybe, repainting the brick. No, that's not what he was doing. All right, and he's gone. Oh, there's Graham. King Graham. I don't know how many of those watching this are familiar with the King's Quest series, but he's the protagonist in a lot of the games. He's the king of Daventry, and right now he's thinking, could have sworn I parked right there. That's the appropriate response. Oh, a talking owl. In the PC version of King's Quest V, at least one of the later versions, released a year or so after the initial release, that was CD-ROM supported, it had voice acting for the whole cast, and the voice actor who did Cedric, he made some choices. He's an interesting character. One thing you'll notice about Cedric very quickly is he's all about number one. Thank goodness he didn't notice me. Just veering off, always thinking about himself. Bit of a coward, Cedric is, but we put up with him. I guess deep down, we think he's okay, but yeah. Pretty annoying in the talking version of King's Quest V. Again, you can check out my playthrough of that on Let's Play with Brigands. But anyway, so there's quite a bit of intro here, and I suppose while we're going through this, you can follow along. Just basically, he's going to take us to his master, his employer, Crispin the Wizard, who's going to help us maybe figure out how we can track down Mordack and get our castle and family back. But while we're doing that, before we get into the actual game where I start to walk you through King's Quest V for the NES, let's bring in Fluff for our first Fluff fact about King's Quest V for the NES. Fluff?
King's Quest V is obviously an NES port of the original game of the same name for the PC from classic adventure game design studio Sierra. Sierra had shown an interest in the console market by the late 1980s, and the NES and Famicom in particular due to their popularity. The top people at Sierra, including King's Quest creator Roberta Williams and her husband, Sierra's president at the time, Ken Williams, took a trip to Japan to build business relationships within the software industry there in 1988. While there, they witnessed firsthand the demand for console gaming as the recently released Dragon's Quest III sold 1.5 million units just in the few days they were visiting the country. This understandably caught the attention of the Williams and served as a first-hand demonstration for the demand for console gaming. For perspective, Dragon Quest III is the best-selling title in the series on the NES, almost selling 4 million copies in total, whereas King's Quest V ultimately topped off at around 500,000 copies sold. While there were plans to port King's Quest V to as many consoles as possible to reach the widest audience possible, only the NES panned out, as most of the other planned systems either soon died off or were dwarfed by the popularity of the NES. Despite a quote from Ken Williams in which he expressed his satisfaction with the experience of and sales from porting King's Quest V to the NES, and additionally expressed an interest to do it more moving forward, King's Quest V was virtually the final Sierra-developed game to be released to a console before the company, as we knew it, was bought up and the Williams left.
Thank you, Fluff. Yeah, it was kind of a bummer in the mid-90s when Sierra started, as we knew it, started to get bought up by another company and all the key players left, all the developers behind some of the most notable and just some of the greatest adventure series of all time, which Sierra was just churning out in the 90s. You had your Space Quest, Police Quest, Leisure Suit Larry, Quest for Glory, personal favorite of mine. A lot of folks know my Let's Play with Brigands channel from the Quest for Glory series, the playthroughs I've done with that, so very grateful for that. Shout out to any of our class members who are fans of that series as well. Got Crispin digging around in his old chest here. Let's see what he's come up with to help us here. He gives us a couple things. Eat it up! Alright, yeah, let me just eat something that's been sitting in this chest probably for hundreds of years. An old piece of magical white snake, which will allow us to communicate with the natural and animal world. Not necessary for Cedric, I suppose. He speaks English very well for some reason, but... And Crispin pulling his old wand off on us. Not going to be very much use until the end of this game. We're going to bring in Blaze in a little bit. We've kind of repurposed his dude again. Coward right here, Cedric. Crispin literally calling him out for being a coward. So we don't... I'm trying to think. I don't think we ever need Cedric in this game, come to think of it, but nonetheless, he's coming along with us. And here we go, starting our adventure. Visit the town first, but yes, I was going to mention we'll bring in Blaze a little bit later, repurposing him from his normal item duty, because there's just too many items, and that's sort of the basis of the game, is just picking up items and trading them, so I'll be handling that, just explaining what we're going to be doing with each item through the course of the game. So now, as we begin the game in earnest, we take a look at the controls for King's Quest V. Not the best interface, I have to say. It's a little funky. You'll get used to it the more you play. Basically bring up that icon bar with B, transition between them with B, and then select the one you want with A. It would be nice if you could just hit select to transition between the different types of actions like you could in maybe Maniac Mansion as a comparison. But anyway, to start off, let's head south here. We got a famous line delivered in the voice-acted version of this. Watch out, Graham, a poisonous snake. Again, check out that playthrough to hear all the cheesy voice acting. And once, right off the bat really, Cedric being a coward, refusing to go in the town. As we take a quick peek at the Briggs notes for this King's Quest V NES walkthrough, just basically follow this guide and refer to Blaze's maps to help you get through the kind of maze-like sections of this game. First thing we're going to want to do here in town is to reach into this barrel. You'll find an old fish. Let's kind of a staple of these old adventure games. You'd be amazed at the number of them which feature a fish, generally an old rotting fish, which you need to complete your adventure. If you go into any of the stores and come back out, you'll notice that someone has dropped a coin right here. So pull up the hand icon, bend down and pick up that coin. That's about all we want to do in town for the moment. So let's head out. We're going to head to the west here, going left. There's not too many instances in this game where we need to worry about losing or anything like that. There is a save feature built into the game. You can see with the menu there over on the right. But so we're going to go into the pie shop here, and we're going to trade out the coin which we just picked up. It always amuses me in these games how the protagonist just sort of knows what they'll need. Obviously, we found that coin. We want to rescue our family, so why wouldn't we spend the coin here in the pie shop to buy ourselves a pie? Gotta eat, right? Can't be rescuing our family and battling an evil wizard on an empty stomach. But there we go. We're now the proud owners of a custard pie. I'm sure that'll keep well in our pack. I should just attribute it to the fact that we're a seasoned adventurer, King Graham, so we know our way around. We just have a sixth sense about what items we'll need. Watch out for the bear, Graham. Good advice. Don't get too close. Instead, pick up this stick right here. Remember that dead fish that we found in the barrel in town? We're going to pull up our inventory with select. Go over to the fish. Woof, the smelly old fish is disgusting. Well, thankfully we don't need to carry it around for too long. Hopefully it didn't rub up on our custard pie. I'm going to toss the fish. The bear's going to go after it. And we've made some allies early on here in King's Quest V for the NES. Queen Beatrice. They love their puns at Sierra. So don't forget to actually reach in and grab the honeycomb. She doesn't just give it to you. We do need to grab it ourselves. As she says, the bees will leave us be. No pun intended. Trust me, it's not my style. Now the stick, which we just picked up, we're going to use this. One screen north from that tree. I'm going to toss this to the dog, who's terrorizing some ants from the looks of it. So we've already made friends with the bees. How about the ants on top of that in short succession? There you go. As the dog runs west into the desert. We'll head there in just a moment. This is King Antony. Again, love their puns. And he offers his services. They don't have anything to give to us. Ants don't really make anything delicious or practically useful, but their services will come in handy a little bit later, so it's a good thing that we did that. All right, so we're about to bring in Blaze for the first time here as we're about to enter a very dangerous maze here in the desert. Probably the most dangerous in that if you go too many screens without having water, then you will die and it'll be a game over. So first thing we could do, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to, from that top screen, from the gypsy little wagon right there, we're just going to head straight west to the left. And this will put us to a tiny little oasis. Before you grab any water, kind of position yourself right here behind the rocks. In the PC version, they give you more time, more of a warning. As soon as you hear the message here, it's too late in this version, whereas in the PC version, they give you some time to hide yourself behind that rock. He's going to head into the temple right here. Note the open sesame dialogue he used. So now we're going to get some water, and I'm going to throw it to Blaze for a guide to the desert. Blaze?
All right, too many items to cover here in King's Quest. The professor's got that pretty much handled anyway. So instead, I've got your map guides for King's Quest V on the NES. First, the desert map guide. As you can see right here, we have a turn-by-turn map showing you how to get to each oasis and each point of interest here in the desert. You can only go about 5 screens before Graham dies of thirst, so make sure you stop off on each of these oases, know where they are, but basically we're going to hit that entrance to the cave, down to the boot, pick that up, down one of the oasis, down and left to the bandit camp where we can get that staff, and head back up to an oasis, and then all the way back up to the cave once again. But there you go, we'll leave this up, but that is the map guide for the desert in King's Quest V.
Good call. Thank you very much, Blaze. Yeah, very handy to just keep this up while we're drinking from these oasi. Not really sure what the plural of that is. We focus on the games, not a professor of... And this guy's just gonna pass out, thankfully won't notice us. Head into this first tent right here and just swing wide. Be careful not to get too close to that guy. We're gonna pick up this scepter right here. The staff which he used. Before you head out, grab some water out of this vase right here. Notice they changed the description of the rejuvenating water when you take a drink right there. Bringing Fluff to cover that a little bit later, but for right now we're going to head back to that temple. And once we head inside, might as well grab some more water while we're here. You need to be very careful when you head into the temple. You have a very limited window, and the kind of not ideal control system that we have to work with here, it makes getting out a little bit tricky. So you have to be very precise. So the first thing we're going to do is come up to the temple door right here, pull out that staff which we just picked up. This won't work unless you were there to see the guy say the catchphrase, the secret password, open sesame. Graham doesn't know his own strength, smashed the thing, but alright, so you have a very limited window to pick up just this coin to the left, and just this vase to the right. So make sure you pick up these two things and these two things only. Ignore the rest of the treasure and just head straight out. And there you go. Go for any of the treasure and the door will close behind you and you'll be trapped there for all eternity, so that's a bummer. Hard to save the family when you're, it's just, yeah, when that happens. At the end of King's Quest IV, though, Graham, he received a life-saving piece of fruit, which his daughter Rosella, she was the protagonist in that game, which she acquired for him in a far-off land. We can take away the desert now. I think we're pretty straightforward from here on out. And it gave him new strength. Kind of made him feel young again, so I suppose that's why he broke that staff. He's still adjusting to his strength post-fruit. But anyway, that gold coin that we found inside there, it's burning a hole in our pocket. So he doesn't like to talk. The only kind of conversation he understands is a shiny gold coin. So let's give him one. Thankfully for us, it just happens to be the exact price for meeting with the fortune teller. See Madame Mushka here. And while we're getting our fortune read here, get some more backstory, let's bring in Fluff to cover some of those changes which I alluded to just a moment ago here in King's Quest V for the NES. Fluff?
King's Quest V was developed by Novotrade Software, who created an entirely new engine to port the game to the NES. As with any time a computer-based game was ported to the NES, major changes were required. For example, many of the cutscenes were shortened, altered, or removed altogether. Thankfully, many of the dead-end trade solutions were removed with the NES version, simply denying you the option to trade away a necessary item in certain situations. As we mentioned in our class on Maniac Mansion, another computer game ported to the NES, some of the necessary changes were a result of adhering to Nintendo's video game content guidelines, which prohibited violence, foul language, nudity, references to drugs or alcohol, and religious themes. One silly example of this is the narrator's response between the two games to Graham drinking water in the desert. In the computer version, when Graham takes a drink, the narrator comments, somewhat dramatically, "Ah, life-giving water, nectar of the gods." Graham can now feel strength and renewal flowing through him. Conversely, in the NES adaptation it says, "Ah, the cool water felt wonderful in Graham's parched lips, and his body now feels rejuvenated." rather than ordering her wolves to kill Graham and Cedric. In the NES version, Queen Isabella orders them to take the prisoners to the dungeon forever. In one of the final sequences, Cedric is turned to stone by Mordack, rather than being killed as he was in the original. Oops, sorry for the spoiler. Ironically, the publisher of this violence-free port of King's Quest V is Konami, and in case you were wondering, yes, Konami is the same company which made Contra, the game where you blasted through hundreds of aliens, just with a variety of deadly weapons, not to mention they're the makers of dozens of other wonderfully violent NES titles.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Fluff. You'll notice that we put on the talisman, the necklace, which Matamushka gave us, and it did protect us from evil, thankfully. I love this conversation, this exchange in the talkie version on the PC between the two. You don't normally get to hear Graham be this sarcastic and snippy. It's fun. I like it. So anyway, let's reach into our inventory and pull out the vase which we collected, or the lamp, I suppose. Brass bottle, they're calling it, which we got from the temple there in the desert. Give it to her. She's going to pop it open. A genie pops out and imprisons her. And yes, if you try opening the brass bottle yourself, the same fate will fall on you. So, in case you were curious, that's what curiosity will cost you. All right, so now that we don't have to worry about the witch, that's good. We need to go to her home. So this is her little place right here. Just head inside. There's a few things to get in here which can be easy to miss. 3 things. So the first thing we want to do is open this little drawer right here. Inside you will find a pouch with emeralds. I think in the PC version they give you the pouch. You have to open the pouch. Here they just give you those emeralds. Reach into the light right here. You'll see something shiny. It's a little key, which we can probably use on what looked like a locked door a couple screens ago in the forest. And then it opens the trunk right here. You'll find a spinning wheel. So once we've cleaned out all the witch's stuff, she won't be needing it anymore. Head back to that locked door within the tree. Like the animations, admittedly not nearly as beautiful as the backgrounds featured in the PC version, but nonetheless, it's impressive for the NES, I have to say. Little golden heart right here. Looks like it's more golden in the PC version. Can't help myself keep mentioning all the differences which I'm noticing, but looks like a red heart, which has a little bit of a gold shine on the outside, but I like the Venus flytraps there at the bottom of the screen, just part of the animation of the background. We're going to head to the west now. You'll see some creepy eyes peering out from the darkness. This may not be your first impulse here, which is a good thing while you're watching this King's Quest V NES walkthrough here on Video Games 101, but first you want to drop out, squeeze the honey right here in front of those peering eyes, and then go and grab the emeralds which we just collected, and then toss one in front of the honey. You see a little critter pop out. I think it's a little elf. And then toss the next one around the same spot, and then toss the final one, and they'll automatically drop it right in front of you so that the little creature gets trapped in the honey, and now he's our prisoner. Graham just kind of seems kind of mean, bit of a bully here, but this guy will help us get out of the forest, thankfully. Yes, an elf. There you go. Another one of the more interesting voices is Rocky right here. Not even sure if he gets a line in this version or not. Does kind of a deep, sorry kind of voice in the PC voice-acted version. All right, follow the little elf automatically through the tunnels here beneath the swamp / forest. Above the remains of prehistoric creatures by the looks of it. If we were playing an Indiana Jones game, he might be more interested. Right now, we're just focused on rescuing our family. So not only is this little guy going to help us get out of the swamp/forest, but he's going to give us a sweet pair of kicks on top of that. Thanks for the trainers, little man. Sure we'll find a use for these fine shoes. They're a few sizes too small for us, unfortunately, but whatever, we got our own nice pair of kicks on right now, being a king and all. Hope you're not claustrophobic, class. But as soon as we pop out, we can head to the west after Cedric does his obligatory, oh gosh, it's good to see you again, I'm a coward. Graham's a bit more understanding to Cedric's worry, his nervousness, anxiety, if you will, in this version. So we're going to give the tree this heart, which we recovered from the other tree in the forest. Get to hear a nice song in the PC version, the voice-acted one. Yeah, Graham gives more of a, I've done this before kind of response to Cedric. Just kind of brushes his concerns aside. But look at this, we turned her into a beautiful princess. We haven't seen this guy, I don't think. Maybe we passed him, I don't remember, but while one of the TAs was talking. But Herbert, this guy's been looking for the princess here, I suppose, or this beautiful maiden. They don't give you a thanks, but they do drop the harp, so I suppose that's thanks enough. Something tells me this will help us at some point. Before we head on out of this area, we're going to head back to where the fortune teller was and pick up this tambourine which they left behind. Now we're going to head south and to the east one screen here to a screen we have not come to yet, where we'll find, I believe, a gnome. A lot of gnomes and dwarves and elves and all sorts of mythical creatures in these games, so I have a hard time keeping them straight sometimes, but we're going to give the spinning wheel to the gnome right here. I'm going to assume this is a gnome. It could be a dwarf. Found it at the old witch's house in the dark forest. Old hag took it. Ain't no ordinary spinning wheel. I think it turns straw into gold. How about that? There you go. I'm not even sure this guy is going to give us any. We literally have to ask for a reward. Maybe he was about to, but yeah, I guess so, yeah. Some people are more grateful in this game than others, you'll find. He gives us the marionette, and Papa goes off to cut some wood to make a new one, a better one, for his son. Not our concern, we don't really care about that. What we do care about is arguably the most difficult part of this game is about to come up, and it's a product of the poor controls. So what I recommend is doing this. A cat is going to appear and chase this rat. We want to save the rat's life, so we're going to pull out the old shoe, which we found in the desert, and then aim your cursor right there, and that's when you want to hit it. Right when the cat gets to the right side of that door frame, you have to be very quick. If you miss out on saving the rat right here, then we cannot beat this game. So make sure you save before you do that. But if you know where to line up your cursor and have that boot ready and just click it at just the right time like we show right there, then you shouldn't have too much trouble. So now we can start turning some things in that we found in our adventures here in town, start trading some things out. So these are the old kindly cobblers right here. They don't really have anything for sale. I think their business has seen better times. Let's see if we can't help them out. Rejuvenate their business by giving them this fine pair of shoes, which were too small for us anyway, let's be honest. The finest crafted leather this man has ever seen, and that's saying something. He's been in the business presumably for a very long time. And isn't this nice? We just give these folks some shoes and they're just overwhelmed with gratitude. They don't have much to give us, but they give us the hammer, which will definitely come in handy. It's going to save our life, actually. Much appreciated. I like it. I like the gratitude, you know? Shouldn't have to say, hey, shouldn't I get something in return for... speaking of which, We need to head back just 2 screens to the west. I forgot to do this. Probably added on an extra 20 seconds to this King's Quest V NES walkthrough. So we're going to head outside of the north end, reach into the stack of hay right here. And as soon as you try to do that, you will notice that the ants, which we assisted earlier, will come and overwhelm this haystack right here. If you didn't help the ants, they won't show up. But if you have, they will go in and find the golden needle for you. They found a literal needle in a haystack. How about that? I'm telling you. Roberta Williams. Gotta love her. All right, now we have everything we need. We're going to head into the north end right here. And this scene plays out a little bit differently in this version of the game. In the PC version, you overhear them talking about some illegal activity which they invested in. So they have more cause to rub you out in this case. They just don't like the look of you, I guess. But so they knock you out. That's supposed to happen. Thankfully, you saved the rat who bites through the ropes. If you have not done that, then you will just end the game, lose right here, die in their cellar. Pick up the rope before you leave. Have to make sure you've gone into town and gotten that cobbler's hammer in order to knock the lock off of this door right here. There you go. Nothing we need to grab in here, but on this next screen, you want to open up the cupboard right here. Be very careful not to go to the right. If you go back there, that'll be the screen with those guys that rubbed you out before. I don't know about that expression, rubbing you out, but anyway, yeah, they will actually kill you this time. Not according to the good folks at Nintendo, but the game will be over, so grab that meat from the cupboard, and the door locked behind you. I don't know, I guess doesn't matter. We got the meat. Cedric, he's just kind of he's gotten used to the fact that we're putting ourselves in harm's way constantly, and he doesn't even react to it anymore. So we'll head back into town now that we have that golden needle. And we know you're a coward. You don't have to keep reminding us, Cedric. Head into the 2 right shops. We have the tailor right here. I don't like this at all. So what would a tailor possibly like, or might need? How about a golden needle that we found, courtesy of King Antony and his subjects, in that haystack outside the inn? Give it to this guy. Visiting there not long ago. I don't know, or is the implication that he was rolling around in the haystack with somebody? No judgment here, but he will give us the cloak for returning his golden needle to him. That's how these old adventure games worked for the most part. You find something, you trade it to somebody for something else, and so on and so forth. So anyway, we have the cloak. That should provide some warmth for us should we leave this area and go to somewhere a little colder. Last stop we need to make in town is the toy maker's shop. What would a toy maker like? How about that child's marionette that we got from the gnome? Yeah, little gnome. I thought I was right. I was doubting myself there for a moment. Almost said dwarf again, but no. A lot of options to choose from here. Graham just knows that he's going to need that sled for some reason. Not sure where he's going to keep it. Not the most practical, but again, this guy's a toy maker. What else can he practically offer us of value that we're going to need? So we grab the sled off the wall, and we are done with this portion of the game. Kind of the first third, if you will. Although probably the longest chunk of the game right here. So that poisonous snake is blocking the way out of this area. We're going to reach into our pants, pull out that tambourine. We're going to play the tambourine for the snake right here. This should cause him to evacuate the area. Frightened by the noisy tambourine, the snake reluctantly slithers away. And now the way is unblocked. We can head north into the mountains. All right, a few hours later, just immediately freezing, cold, snow everywhere. This is the first instance where Graham has thought to put on that cloak, but yeah, throw that around yourself to keep yourself from freezing in this area. Careful around some of the edges in this area. You can fall to your death if you're not careful. Now we're going to pull out that rope, do some climbing. The rope that we got that they used to tie us up in the inn back there in that first section. And we can either toss it on this rock or that rickety looking little branch. I say the rock. You'll notice that the game let us know that we're starting to get hungry. So we can go down to the large mouth-watering leg of lamb, which we got from the guys which rubbed us out. This will fill you up for the time being. That's all you need to do for now. Don't eat the rest of it. Like they say, you'll save the rest for later. Climb up the rope here. Just ignore Cedric, which I presume you've been doing for most of the game at this point. Very slowly climbs his way up, not using those legs. Guess he never went to gym class to learn the basics of that. Be careful on the little icy steps right here. Gotta jump on this closer one with the hand icon. I don't think they'll let you get on the lower one initially. Just gonna stay up top right here. I think that one might be too far away. And they're a bit kinder. In the PC version, we definitely would have been dead by now. And then finally, jump to the nearest bit of land right there. Keep moving along. Cedric's staying warm despite the fact that he's just wearing that little vest. A wolf is going to pop out now and just grab him in his mouth and slide away with him. I guess we care, so we'll pull out our sled and chase after him. I don't know why this just popped in my head, but I realized that Crispin, the man Cedric refers to as his employer, in the intro, he asked Cedric to brew us some tea, make us a cup of tea. Would have liked to have seen that, actually. I'm not sure how he manages that with the feathers, but anyway, the sled portion is all automatic. Don't have to worry about that. Your sled's going to break once you get to the bottom. Bigger picture, Graham. Yes, the sled is broken, but your family has still been kidnapped by an evil wizard. All right, time for an act of kindness, class. We're going to reach into our inventory and pull out... We can talk to this eagle right here, Mr. Eagle. Hasn't been able to catch any food. I feel like you would have eaten Cedric had we come across here, but... Anyway. Yes, reach into your pack, pull out the rest of that leg of lamb, and offer it to the eagle. Eagle's very grateful as he wolfs it down. Kind man to share your meager food with such a poor bird. What kind of person would I be if I just let you starve? Graham's a good guy, man. That's one of the many running themes of this King's Quest series. Shame they didn't port more of the games to the NES, honestly. Just in order of interest of exposing it to a greater audience, but here we are with Queen Isabella. Another nice, I actually kind of like that pun. So we're going to be locked in the cave, not killed, mind you, just locked in a cave. So quickly, before the wolves get to you, as soon as you have control, pull out the harp and just click it on yourself to start playing. It's been a while since they've had a private concert. This goes a long way, and she gives us a chance to earn our freedom. Apparently, just slaying it on the harp wasn't enough. She wants us to rid her territory of an evil Yeti monster off to the east. So let's go do that. Sir Grey Wolf. Such a noble name for Sir Grey Wolf. So we're going to get into a little bit of the slapstick portion of the Sierra universe. You get this every now and then. They were fans of, I guess, the old silent films and the work of Charlie Chaplin, the Stooges, things like that. You'll see in this next part. That'll inform logic of what to do right here. So we're going to head off this way. Another instance where we don't have a lot of time to react, so as soon as you see that Yeti, reach into your inventory, pull out the, I guess it looks like a piece of cake technically. The PC version, it looks more like the tambourine, but the custard pie. Get it handy, toss it at the Yeti as soon as you can. Classic comedy right there, class. And once the Yeti's dead, before you leave, pull out your cobbler's hammer once again. Use it on these crystals right here in the Yeti cave to grab a little piece. Never know when you might need a crystal. And then we're going to head back to the west and inform Queen Isabella, and I suppose Sir Grey Wolf as well, that we have rid her territory of the Yeti. Not sure the other wolf has a name. It's kind of a... I don't know, I guess she... Obviously we know who her favorite is between the two. Go through this again, kneel once again. Graham's a good sport. I suppose one royal person to another, we appreciate that. I feel like Graham never asked anyone to kneel before him, but... Anyway, once again, Sir Grey Wolf. Maybe the other wolf is her favorite. She doesn't have him do anything, you know? Just gets to lie around all day. Maybe he's the wolf in training, the WIT. But regardless, we're going to head east out of the snowy portion in just a moment here. Cedric's still been pretty useless, I have to say. Like I said at the start, I was trying to think if he ever comes in handy throughout the course of this game. So this is going to happen as well. The number of coincidences, you know, just the wrong place at the wrong time. We have I guess a two-headed massive eagle or falcon or I'm not sure what that is, but... So don't hang out here for too long. While you have time, grab the locket, I think, which is right next to you. Lovely golden locket. You have a limited window to do that because after a moment of hanging out here, the eagle, which we helped out earlier with our food, there you go. Pays to pay it forward. So we are now in the kind of the final stretch of this King's Quest V NES walkthrough here on Video Games 101. Just curious, does Cedric have anything to say after all this? No, he's not listening to Graham. He's just tuned us out. We're already sick of each other. I mean, I understand why we're sick of him, but we're the ones getting everything done. Pick up this, it's a stick? Not sure what this is, but pick it up. This is where we need Blaze. Actually, we have need of Blaze right here as we need our second map. The simplest of all the maps of this game, but before you jump in this boat, pop the beeswax, which we got from Queen Beatrice, what seems like a lifetime ago, to patch up the small hole in this boat, make it seaworthy. Click the hand icon on the boat right here. And Cedric's gonna join us. I can. I do kind of like that dynamic. Anyway, Blaze.
All right, much simpler and wetter than the desert in King's Quest V, the ocean. Here, all we need to do is go down one screen and then 3 to the right to get to the Harpie Island. Nothing too complicated here. Just make sure you stick to this route. You'll be just fine.
All right, thanks, Blaze. Yeah, not much of a maze right here. Literally just one down all the way to the right. And yeah, let's just check out this random island. What else have we got going on? That's just the mindset of an adventurer, you know? You never know what you might find. And once again, what's that? 2 times in the last 5-6 minutes that Cedric, and myself, we both got captured here. We have another very narrow window to react right here. As the harpies here on this island gonna bicker over, I think, who gets to eat you, basically. The first chance you get to access your inventory, bring that up with select, pull out that harp, which once again is going to get us out of a jam. And the greedy harpies will just snatch it away from you, and thankfully their attention has been diverted elsewhere. They're very generous with the shininess of the objects, which you need to pick up a lot of times in this game. So we picked up the fish hook from the ground right there. There's going to be some moon logic as involved in how we're using this a little bit later. There's Cedric. We can pick him up. Moan. He's in pretty bad shape right here, as you can see, but scoop him up, and we're going to automatically take him back to the boat. Very important when you put him in the boat, before you head out, make sure you pick up this shell right here that's on the beach. We're going to need this in just a moment, actually. Cedric's probably wondering, what the heck are you doing right now, Graham? I'm bleeding out here. Feathers are all kinds of ruffled. But yeah, just pop back in the boat. And we're just going to head straight back to the left, due west, all the way. This will put us back at the shore. I think this is the last screen right here. Maybe one more. All right, this is the last screen. As you can see the islands in the background slowly shifting. And we're outside of this guy's place. So ring the bell right here to get his attention. It's a kind old man of the sea, but he can't hear us. So we're going to need to reach into our inventory. We might have to go through this first off before we can actually go into our inventory and try to give him anything. It's very hard of hearing, this gentleman. Gotta speak up. And then he just kind of, casts us off. So we'll ring that bell again. And this time, as soon as it gives us the chance, we're going to reach into our inventory and pull out. All right. I think I'm doing this right. I think maybe just the third time we have a chance to. All right, here we go. So pull out the shell, which we just picked up. I was like these. Had one of these when I was a kid. Hold it up to your ear, and they say it's the sound of the ocean. Of course, it's just the sound of the air vibrating around by virtue of the shape of the shell, but just to ruin that for everyone. But anyway, no magic here on Video Games 101. So we're going to grab Cedric now that this kind man of the sea can hear us, and he's going to give us something to patch Cedric up. He's just going to handle it himself, thankfully. And actually, while we have one last little bit of dialogue back and forth here, as he gives Cedric some gifts of the sea, let's bring in Fluff for one final Fluff fact about King's Quest V for the NES. Fluff?
I mentioned earlier that the developer on King's Quest V was Novotrade Software. Novotrade was a Budapest, Hungary-based corporation which produced video games, computer programs, and television commercials in the 80s and 90s. Between 1982 and 2006, when they closed up shop, by then known as Appaloosa Interactive, they developed over 50 titles for virtually every computer and console released in that span. Amongst all the titles they developed over their 24 years, they're arguably best known as the developers behind the super successful Sega series, Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah, I had that on Game Gear. Thank you very much. Fluff, good work today. Would have been very apt had a dolphin guided us over there. That's been the case in other King's Quest games, 4, which we already referenced. A dolphin helps us out, gets us back to shore. But in this case, we're just following the mermaid to Mordack's island. For the final stretch of this game, I suppose if you want to quarter the game up, you have that first section where you're in town and the surrounding areas, then the mountains, second quarter, the beach, very short bit, which we got right here, and then the final quarter would be Mordack's island/castle. Cool. I mean, scary, but cool. See the reefs and the rocks destroy our little boat. Cedric's fine. That's all that matters. And we have yet another dead fish right here. Handy. Forgot that that's how ubiquitous these dead fish are in these adventure games. This one has 2. And we will need it too. I don't know if we're meant to think this is the same one that the bear had and it got away from him and washed up on the shore all the way over here. Probably not. It's probably just a fresh dead fish, which just washed ashore from nearby. Pull out the little gem that we picked up, the crystal, I suppose, back at the Yeti's cave, and use it on either one of these statues to reflect their beams, deflect and reflect them back at them. So we can't go in the front door. Not sure how Mordack gets packages delivered, but we go around back instead, and we're going to use, I guess it was the rod that we picked back up. We'll figure this out. Don't worry. He's got this walkthrough, Cedric. Calm down. So we picked up that rod back on the island, an iron bar. So use this to pry open the little hatchway here, and then prop it open as well, I think. Or maybe it just stays open on its own. That might have been the PC version that I'm thinking of. But anyway. All right, well, we're going to head inside now. Do we just have to click the hand on the... Maybe that's what we have to do at this point. Yep, there we go. All right, so the most frustrating maze in the entire game is in the little catacombs beneath Mordack's place. So let's send it back to Blaze one last time.
All right, rather than showing an actual map for the underground beneath Mordack's castle, I have a turn-by-turn direction guide right here from the entrance to Dink, and then from Dink to the door to get you through. U stands for up, R for right, L for left, D for down, and note that this is all corresponding to the arrow which is pointing as you move around in this underground area on the screen. So just follow these directions, you'll get where you need to go. The second time you come through, you'll have Kasima to guide you. Sorry, a bit of a spoiler, but there you go. I'll leave this up while you're in here for the first time, Professor, but there you go. There's the directions to get you where you need to go.
All right, good luck. Thank you very much, Blaze. So this should be up, and here's Dink. Dink is, well, if you're not careful, Dink can be dangerous. Generally, he's a nice chap. Give him the tambourine. He's easily entertained. I appreciate that. Or she is, rather. And she leaves behind her little, hair clip? Something like that? Hairpin. There we go. We'll use that. All right, so now... see, down, right, up. Big thanks to Blaze today, by the way. This is this is invaluable right here. This maze is not fun to navigate if you don't know where you're going. Go right. Another right. Down. It's all relative to that arrow, as Blaze mentioned. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. One last down. And to the left. One more left. Overshot it. Hold on, go back here. So it'll be right now, technically, or down, whatever. And then to the right, and that should do it. There we go. There is the door. Once again, thank you very much, Blaze. Thank you, Fluff, as well. Good TA work so far. Not quite done, so this door is locked. That's why we need the hairpin, which we got from Dink. Use it on the door. Not only is Graham proficient in every instrument known to man, apparently, just kind of take that for granted, he also knows his way around a hairpin for a lockpick. But anyway, I'm going to head north up here, and we'll see a scullery maid here, a beautiful scullery maid, excuse me, particularly in the PC version. This version does not quite do her justice, as you can tell right there. Still probably one of the better anime-looking ladies from the neck up on the NES, but still. So she's not going to trust us until we give her the locket which we found on the island of the Harpies. There it is, the lovely golden locket on a delicate chain. Here we go. Lost it on the island just after. So yes, she is from the land of the Green Isles. Again, if you're not familiar with the King's Quest series, after the events of this game, she's to marry Mordack. Doesn't want to do that for obvious reasons. She will meet our son, Prince Alexander, who we saw was kind of behind this whole mess. Though it's hard to blame the guy, considering, he only turned Mordack's brother into a cat to save his own life. So again, self-defense. Can't blame the guy. But she plays a major part in the next King's Quest 6, which obviously that's kind of creepy. That face right up there, like the Noid or something kind of vibes. So this creature's supposed to grab you and throw you into the dungeon. You need to get thrown into the dungeon in order to survive. So here's not the most obvious solution, but grab that fish hook. Remember that we got earlier on the island? Reach it into this hole, and you'll get yourself a piece of cheese, apparently. And then if we made friends with Cassima, she will rescue us from the dungeon right here. She'll mention Dink. Not sure if we met Sam. She will, as Blaze mentioned, she will lead us back to the rest of the castle. So you need to be relatively quick in following her. If you lose sight of her, then you will have to resort to another map. But for right now, as long as you are relatively quick right here and responsive, you can keep up with her. Thankfully, as she said, she knows her way around the labyrinths down here. Should just be one more turn if I recognize from earlier. There we go. PC version even has a little extra animation of her going through the door. So I neglected to do this earlier, but come over here and grab this bag of peas off the shelf. Bag of dried peas. I think it literally says peas in the PC version, but... Alright, so now if we see that creature again, we'll use the bag of peas on him when he appears. Just be ready. Avoid the sides where he can appear from. The open doorways. It's random when he does appear. If he catches us, we'll get thrown back in the dungeon, and this time we cannot get out, so... That's why we have to be very careful. There he goes. All right, so he's thankfully slower than us. We can put some distance between him and ourselves. Grab that bag of peas. This is going to be very tight. Throw the peas at him. There we go. Oof. Cutting it close, but that takes care of him. We don't have to worry about him anymore. The only one we have to worry about at this point, well, I suppose besides Mordack himself, is his brother, who is still in cat form, obviously. There he is. Manannan. Alright, so let's see. You want to make sure you don't get too close, otherwise he'll go warn Mordack that you're out and about. Instead, toss the fish to Manannan. Can't resist himself. He's still a cat, right? And while he's chowing down on that dead fish, I'm going to use the empty bag of peas to tie the cat up. A little bit of recycling there. We're getting to reuse an item in our inventory there after we've emptied it out of the peas. Now head up and to the left here. This is Mordack's bedroom. Don't want to hang on here for too long. Instead, come down here. Read this book for a second while we wait for him to pop in. Might need to use the eye icon on the book, actually. Sometimes they're just very particular about where you need to click. There you go. All right, interesting. 4 different symbols right there. Coincidentally, that will be very important in the final stretch of Mordack's castle here. We're very close. I feel like I've said final stretch many times. We are Very close. We're going to speed this up just a little bit. And there he is. He pops in. And he'll go right to sleep. He's a very fast sleeper, heavy sleeper. So we're going to grab his wand and now head right 2 screens, the only place in his fun house we haven't visited yet. This massive room where I guess he does all of his different experiments. So now we're going to put one wand on one of these little, I guess the game just knows. Somehow Graham just knows which side to put the dead wand on and which side to put the charged Mordack's wand on. But the most moon logic-y, which is another way of saying the least obvious solution, is right here. After you put these 2 wands, obviously to activate this machine, how are we going to do that? We're going to drop some cheese into the machinery to get it going. So that's literally, yes, it sounds like I'm joking, but that's literally what we need to do right here. Drop some cheese into the machine. It'll start the process. And what this is going to do is transfer the power of Mordack's wand to my old crappy wand, so that put a little juice, a little life into it. You can see it's starting to go right there. Takes a little while, this transference procedure. Just kind of enjoy the fun sound effects until it finishes the transfer between the wands. This should certainly wake up Mordack. I don't care how heavy a sleeper he is. This, you don't run this thing at night, that's what I'm trying to say. Even Mordack wouldn't do that. It's a courtesy to the neighbors, you know? It's just rude. It doesn't need to take this long, but nonetheless it does. Alright. His wand is dead. Should make for an amusing moment. A life-saving moment. So just pick up the your wand, Crispin's old wand, and that should trigger in Mordack to appear. Again, it's just finding that sweet spot. There we go. Speaking of Maniac Mansion, I say speaking of, haven't mentioned that since the very beginning of this game practically, but I think that's the same sound effect they use in Maniac Mansion when you pick up an item or kind of accomplish something in that game. Put a coin in a slot. Same kind of idea, but anyway. Swine. And then, I guess you can count that as helping us out. He contacted Crispin. I don't know, it's the closest thing you'll get, but anyway, we waited the entire game. Let's finally throw it to Gary.
It's Scary Gary's Boss Beaters. The first and only boss in King's Quest V, Mordack. All you need to do to beat Mordack is cast the right spells in the right order to transform yourself into the appropriate animal or being thing to basically keep up and match whatever Mordack's throwing at you. The order is this. Start with the tiger in the bottom right, move on to the rabbit in the top right, go to the mongoose in the top left, and then the rain in the bottom left to extinguish Mordack. And just like that, you have beaten King's Quest V. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gary. Can't smoke him quite yet, but rabbit is certainly doing the trick. Maybe don't jump right on top of... Alright. You can't tell me that wasn't intentional. Graham knew what he was doing there. Rabbit Graham. Barbecued Cedric. Alright, so he's now switching to another snake. Well, we don't have a tambourine on us at the moment. I like the idea of frightening Mordack away with a tambourine right here, but let's go back to our wand. Click on ourselves. This time we're going to go top left, as Gary mentioned, with the mongoose. giving him fits right now. Wasn't anticipating this. I think if he had half a brain, he would realize that we're clearly just using the 4 forms that we learned from his book. Like maybe he would come up with something which couldn't be destroyed by one of these 4 symbols right here, but anyway, not trying to tell Mordack how to survive and kill me. So we'll use the rain cloud here. Note that we don't turn into a rain cloud, but we summon one in and extinguish Mordack for good. He won't be back in King's Quest 6. I guess Manannan's still around in cat form, but not much he can do as a cat. I always feel like she's about to become Mordack, like it's all been an elaborate ruse or something when she says that. You sure he's really gone? It could be one of his tricks. They're definitely setting you up to think that, but no, he's gone. So now we just need Crispin to show up and do his magic. Yeah, I think we figured that out. Yeah, this deed obviously angered Mordack. Again, it was self-defense, you know? It was him or Alexander. Gwydion, as I think he was calling him, as his slave boy, kidnapped Alexander, our son, when he was just an infant, when he was a baby, and didn't let him know his true birthright and everything, but I digress. This Rosella looks a lot like that maiden, or princess that we rescued from her tree form. I think they definitely reused some sprites right there, but by the way, gotta get this up. Saving the entire family, but literally a princess right here in Rosella. Who started this whole mess? Again, you can't blame Alexander, really. Would you rather him be killed like all the others that Manannan had kidnapped? But anyway, they reused that face a lot. That was the face of the other prince, and I think the tailor as well, the clothing seller. Anyway, sent our home back home. You can see that they set up King's Quest 6 a little bit there with Alexander and Cosima. Nice little charged moment between them. And oh yeah, Cedric. We mentioned, yeah, he's turned to stone. Doesn't get killed, like Fluff mentioned he did in the PC version. Maybe not killed, but I always just assumed he was zapped within an inch of death. But, yeah, no, good. I guess it's good that he helped Cedric. That's fine. Remember someone made, likewise, I'm sure, someone made a parody game which focused, a King's Quest type game which focused on Cedric called Owl's Quest. We did a playthrough of that on Let's Play with Brigands. It's pretty silly, but as you'd expect. But there you go. Alakazam, Alakazoo, Alakazee. Everyone gets sent back to their respective homes. And here we go. Back to Daventry. Let's do it. Did our wife even get to say a word? Oh well. She splits the protagonist duties with Rosella in King's Quest VII, actually. The only time she gets to do that. And there we go. Perfect score. 260 out of 260. We gave you the full 100% walkthrough. Hope you enjoyed this one. This was an experience for me, again, having played the original PC version many times as a kid. Once again, I do recommend that you check out the fully voice-acted version. Check out the playthrough I did of that on Let's Play with Brigands. It's pretty entertaining, but for now, if you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. We do one of these classes every single week. We'd love to have you enrolled. Click that like button. It really does help us out to make future classes for you. And leave a comment. Did you ever play this version of King's Quest V? Were you even familiar with these kind of adventure games, any of the King's Quest series in general, before we did this class? If not, and you enjoyed this, again, check out, did the entire series at Let's Play with Brigands. But that's our time. We'll see y'all next week in the same spot for next week's class right here on Video Games 101. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and comment on this video, and click subscribe if you haven't already, as this seriously helps me to keep making great content for you. And check the description of this video to see what song is playing right now.